What's going on, everybody, and welcome to the Other Side of the Firewall podcast, where we talk about the latest and greatest in cybersecurity news, as well as we highlight those movers and shakers and glass ceiling breakers, those people of color who've made it to the other side of the proverbial firewall. My name is Ryan Williams, and as always, I'm joined by Shannon.
What's up? What's up?
What's going on? So, welcome to Tuesday's episode. So, if you have not done so already, please always tune in to all the episodes. They're pretty timely. As I'm going through the throwbacks, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's something we can talk about. That's something we can talk about. So, every week, as our cadence is Monday and Tuesday, our topics, Wednesday discussion, Thursdays will either be a throwback from somewhere in our 500 plus episodes, our archive, or Ask a CSP interview where we talk to somebody who is trying to either break into cyber or somebody who's currently a pioneer or in the forefront of cyber. And then Fridays, everything else, movies, books, games, TV shows, all that good stuff. But without further ado, I'll give it to Shannon.
All right, everybody. This article actually comes from Axios.com, written by Jacob Knudsen, and it's 23andMe changes terms of service amid legal fallout from data breach. So this 23andMe data breach that's happened, right? So it allowed hackers to steal 6.9 million 23andMe users' personal details. I am one of those 6.9 million. I want to put it out there. So I did get the email that was like, hey, what they're trying to do, it was a little weird when I read it, and I thought I misread it when I read it at first. And I was like, no, that sounds about like what they're trying to do here. So it seems like they're trying to reactively change their terms of service to make it seem like they're doing something for your betterment when it seems like they're just trying to keep from getting sued, is what it comes down to, right? So there's two law firms that are pursuing a class action against 23andMe. And what they're saying is that, hey, you didn't protect, this information like you should have, this, that, and the third. But the way they changed their terms of service is to prevent customers from formally suing them or taking class action lawsuits against them. And what they did was they said, hey, you have 30 days to respond to this, to whether or not you want to opt out of the new terms of service. And no response means you're opting in, right? So by opting in, what you're saying is that, hey, if for whatever reason you are going to bring a lawsuit, it's going to be in small claims court, right? So small claims, they say in the article here, I thought it was less than this, but they say it's for cases that are to reward less than $10,000. I thought it was less than that, but I mean, that's still something, you know what I mean? I know people from the 3M lawsuit that are getting more than $10,000, you know what I mean? That class action lawsuit with the hearing protection and whatnot. So but yeah, that's what they're doing, and it's fishy to me, right? Like, let me not say it's fishy, it's just dirty the way they're doing it, right? So there's a law professor, she's a law professor from Chicago Kent College named Nancy Kim, who's quoted in the article as saying she doesn't think this is going to work out, right? She's like, it's unlikely that most courts would uphold such an effort, right? Because they tried to do it after they had already got breached, right? Like, it's not like they self-identified a problem and then went and did something and then they got hit after the fact. Like, no, you're trying to cover your butts after the fact, right? And the thing is, the hackers published around 1 million data points, right? Uh, uh, from 23andMe. So it's not like they haven't put stuff out there already to prove that they have it. All right. It's like, okay, we're legit, but even with that, like, what are you doing for me? Right. So like, even though I got the email that says, okay, this is the terms of service thing. And honestly, if I'm being honest, I'm probably not going to do anything about it. I'm like, whatever, right? Like I've been, it's kind of crazy to say. I've been, I don't want to say hacked, but my information has been exposed so many times after dealing with, the T-Mobiles and just being in the military, having my information taken, and Target and all this other stuff. Like, I don't want to say I'm desensitized to it, but I'm kind of desensitized to it. You know what I mean? Like, okay, yeah, I probably could go through and put through all this effort and whatnot, but they're anticipating probably my mindset, right? Is that nobody's going to go through with this, because everything they're going to ask for you, they're going to ask for so much for so little in payout. You know what I'm saying? I didn't even look to see if they offered me my LifeLock, my prize of LifeLock that I get like 5 times a year now.
Your lifetime supply.
Yeah, I'm like, look, I can't even take this anymore. You know what I mean? Like, the website would probably be upset with me for entering in so many times. Like, we've already told you,
Right.
you have, you are. So, but yeah, this is crazy to me that they're going to do this, and I kind of agree with the law professor would know better than me, right, Nancy Kim, but there's no way they're going to be able to get away with this, right? Because, I mean, it's already been advertised when the breach happened. Then it's been advertised when you sent out the modified
Yeah.
term of service. You know what I mean? You're not going to get away with this, but that's what they're trying to do, right? So, and the company hasn't come out and said the full extent of everything that's been hacked, right? They just know some stuff. I have a pretty good idea they know, but they just don't want to put it out there, right? Especially when it comes to 23andMe and genealogy things, right? Because then it's not just PII, right? With information that you may have put in. Because I don't even remember what I registered with, to be honest with you, but PHI, right? This health information, right?
Mhm.
Because it gives you all types of things about what you may be susceptible to, what you already have. You've answered questions to that. And periodically, I never go back in there to do it. They start asking you to participate in other things. So you're constantly updating as things change and they find new information, right? So it's not like this was a quick one-time thing. You put information in there and they're sitting there, right? So people have been more than likely constantly updating it because I know every so often I get emails saying, "Hey, a new DNA relative has joined." You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm not gonna log in. I don't even know if I remember my login, if I'm being honest. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it was a quick thing to do, and I did it. And I'm just like, this is what happens when you put your information out there in the wild, right? This is what can happen to you. So even though I'm not on social media, I still get got, right? This is what happens.
Right.
But Ryan, what's your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's crazy how much this continues to boil over. And we've talked about in the past, like that could also be a throwback for this week. How it's the amount of information they have on you is not necessarily like you said that I didn't know that you continuously update it. I didn't know that people can basically opt in to knowing more about their relatives. Like, okay, somebody else popped up who has markers who looks like they could be your relative. Do you want to basically opt in and find out who it is? That's really cool, but very scary. You know what I mean? Like, that's my worry is that it can be weaponized in the future, right? Like they'll have more data points on you than you actually know about yourself. So they can say, oh, well, we can blackmail or extort you because we found out you have some illegitimate kids out here, or you're related to someone who's nefarious or bad or what have you. Or in the case of susceptibility, like it can potentially, if you're somebody of importance, say, well, we know that you are susceptible Alzheimer's or this or that, and be able to potentially use that against you in the future. I don't want to get too dystopic because my head then runs over to like they can make medicines that are more potent towards you because they understand your DNA and what you're susceptible to, right? Those things that may harm you. I don't know if that'll actually happen. That's more of the Netflix version of this,
No, no,
in my opinion.
you're on to something though. Like if you read like some news articles today, like there are some things where they're like it's just like with COVID, right? Like it affects certain people a certain way type thing.
Yeah,
Like imagine if someone wanted to engineer, like you're not off track. Like I get it. Like the movies will show you that stuff and be like, this is how we take out this group or whatever. But that's
right.
like real life stuff that we're seeing in the news today. You're on point.
Yeah. So I mean, we don't know potentially what the future could hold because of this data breach, and it is pretty scary. Like my only saving grace is I never did it because I honestly don't want to know all my relatives. I don't want nobody figuring out I'm related to them. Um, as well as the pool. Like the 23andMe is more like their pool is more of like that's my understanding European and things of that nature, as opposed to like African heritage would be more of where you're from on the continent. But either way, I didn't. It's expensive. I ain't opt in. It didn't happen, and now I'm not probably going to do it. I'm probably not going to join the 23andMe club. Not to bash or disparage anybody, because who would have thunk we'd be where we're currently at, right? When it comes to data breaches, pretty much every day feels like somebody's getting breached. Like I'm uh, susceptible to Mr. Cooper is still rolling, right? You got 23andMe on your side, like you said. You brought up the Target breach, OPM breach, so everybody in the military pretty much has their data exposed. At this point, I'm starting to think like I don't think we're going to get away from this happening, right? Like you're already out there on some forum or portal on the dark web with all these data points about you, all this PII and now PHI, building a profile of you. The only thing I can think of is if we take away the power of these things, like the power of the social security number, the power of the birth date, the power of the password. But I don't know. I don't know where we move to. Like how then will you be able to get a loan? How then will you be able, you know what I mean? Like what will be the thing? Because the military moved away from socials, right? They moved towards a different identifier. So I think at the end of the day, they're gonna have to put everybody on blast. Like put all your information out there, and then something else will be your marker to then allow you to apply to things.
Or here's what we could do, right? We could all put them in a big lottery spinner thing, right? The social security numbers, and then we all just pick new ones, right? Because then the information won't match, right? What are the chances of the 330 some odd million people that you'll get your own social security number back
It's
again, right?
true. It's true.
So
Oh,
then
so we're not generating new ones. We just take
you just
everybody's and
take
just
all the ones we have, and then it won't match up.
you
Like
get
if
a new
someone's trying
one.
to, yeah, like oh, that social security number is not Shannon's social security number. That's so and so. This doesn't match. Like it won't work, right? So then you gotta re-steal. You know what I mean? Make it
Right.
hard. I'm down. I'm down.
Right. Well, I mean, at this point, what is the solution? Like that might be it. Like let's just shuffle them around. It like people are alive, deceased, doesn't matter. Just let's just shuffle them all around. Let's start over. Because yeah, I don't know it because they don't they these I don't even know what you want to call it, like aside from PHI, but these markers that identify us, they hold too much weight. Because now it's like again, like there has to be in my mind, right? Because we talk about how ransomware gangs are getting so sophisticated. There has to be a dark social network that has all of us has profiles of all of us, right? Like my name, my address, my social, my birth date, everything that's been collected over time all put into one place. Like I'm not trying to give bad guys ideas, but I would be very surprised it didn't already exist. And then people would just pay to collect the information and then do something nefarious with it. It's gotta already be out there. Or it will be the future, right? So now we have to figure out a different set of parameters that allows us access to things. I don't and I can't I'm not creative enough to imagine what that is, to be honest with you. But it's gotta be something. I don't know, like I would say biometric, but we just talked about it last week. Like that, even that fails, right? Whether it be face or thumbprint or other things, right? Like I don't necessarily want to get stuck every time I touch my laptop, right? I don't want to take blood from me. But something has to be a different marker. But even that, like now your DNA is out there, right? With the 23andMe thing. So what is left of us that is private? I have no
Our, our
idea.
our DNA has been out there, man. We were in the military for so long; they were
That's
collecting
very
every
true.
year,
Yeah.
every
That's
year.
very true.
Physical,
But
So,
what to that point, not to drag this episode out, but to the government's I guess
credit.
kudos,
Yeah.
none of those databases talk to each other. So like every time I go work for a different company, they need to then pull my background, take my fingerprints. Like you already have this. The federal government has it. They're like, no, we don't have access to that database. So I mean, none of these systems talk, and that might be to our benefit. I don't know. But definitely continue to tune in throughout the week. Monday, Tuesday are topics, Wednesday discussion. Thursdays will be either a throwback or Ask Us SP. This week will be a throwback. And then Fridays, everything else, movies, books, games, all that good stuff. Hit us up at the websites that go by our name. You can hit me up personally. I'm at RyRy Security Guy. That's RYRY Security Guy. You can find me on LinkedIn, Clubhouse, uh, Twitter, and Threads. Stay safe, stay secure.